So just to kind of give you guys a synopsis of what we're talking about today, I'm gonna give you guys a brief introduction of who I am, my education, how I pivoted into web development, and then what do I do as like a day-to-day life as a web developer, and then just give you guys a little bit of advice that if any point in your career you may need to pivot outside of what you're currently majoring in or have majored in, just a little advice there, and then we'll open it up for questions. So, just an introduction. This is a picture of me and my husband, Rob. I was a 2019 catapult, so a little bit of time ago. And then I graduated from Purdue in May of 24, so just last year. And the position that I'm currently working in is a senior web developer at Herb Jones. And if you don't know what Herb Jones is, you'll know very soon once you graduate from college. But 9 times out of 10, they are who you'll order your cap gown regalia from, class rings, and all those things. And then just a little fun fact about me, and I have two Doberman pinschers. So just to give you guys a brief overview of my education, I went to Warren Central High School, so Eastside, Indianapolis. I took CS classes for 3 years at Warren Central High School, and I majored in UX design in college. And then I'll give you guys a little bit more information a little bit later of how UX design kind of shaped me and my overall development. So UX, if you don't know what UX is, it's user experience design, and I love UX. But unfortunately, when I graduated, the market was extremely oversaturated because there were a lot of layoffs in tech at the time, and so it was kind of hard finding a job in UX. And I knew right out of college that I wanted to work and I wanted to do something that I enjoyed and had some sort of interest in. And that kind of led me into web development. Like having taken CS classes in the past, I had a lot of the foundational skills to pivot into a career, and web development was a lot less oversaturated at the time of entering the job market. So pivoting. So how did my what did my pivot look like? So I'll give you guys like a brief little overview of what that looked like. I started my job searching. So I began looking for jobs that like my CS skills aligned with. So like I knew HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I began looking for jobs that had those requirements. And I even applied to ones that I didn't qualify for. And that's like honestly really important, especially in your job search at some point, is just stepping outside of your comfort zone and being confident in your abilities and your skills. And so having been a catapult and working in CS, I knew I was capable of doing everything, anything as long as I put my mind to it as far as like technology, very technological advanced, and love coding and love all the back end development. So just being very confident in my skills and my ability to find something that aligned with what I wanted to do. And I was honest. So in my interview with Herb Jones, I told them about my skill sets and I just let them know like I was willing to work harder than anyone else. I was willing to learn anything that nobody didn't want to learn if they just gave me the opportunity to be able to grow and develop those skills. And that actually ended up being someone they were looking for. They weren't looking for someone that knew everything about my job. They were looking for someone that they could mold and shape and continue to grow within the company. And then execution. So I didn't change my resume too much when I was applying for two different jobs because I wanted the employer that I eventually ended up working for to know my background and understand and find value in what I brought to the table and what I could also learn as well. So life as a web developer. So SQL, however you may know it, it's a structured query language. So I work in SQL every day. I create websites for graduation regalias, whether that's cap and gowns, grad packs, fine papers, anything that you can imagine that you can order as a student for celebrating your graduation. I create the sites for, and I'm a part of a team of about 5 or 6 other people. So we're very small. We build thousands of sites every day. So it's pretty fast changing. I work a lot with sales reps, so they send in forms where we basically get all the information of what they want on the site and we upload it, change images, and do a lot of the editing. So if you know anything about web development, that's kind of what we do. Not all web developers work in SQL, but a lot of my job is just entering data and changing. So my advice for pivoting, believing in yourself. So if at any point you feel like you're at a standstill in your career and there's something that you want to do outside of what you initially went to school for, just believing in yourself and your abilities to grow. So my degree in what NextTech taught me allowed me to really understand that as long as I put my mind to it, I'm very well at obtaining it. And that is a lot of skills I feel like that are very fundamental that you kind of develop as you go that you don't even realize that you're developing. And then not being afraid. Like when I first graduated and I seen the state of the market, I kind of like panicked and I was afraid that I would never find a job. And I even have friends like to this day that graduated with me that still have had a hard time finding jobs within the market. And so it's like it's really important to like keep your head on straight and like see clearly through your emotions and realizing that like yeah, this might not have initially been what I thought I was just doing with my career, but just being open to new opportunities. And then networking is really important. I didn't get my job at Herbst just through networking, but I strongly recommend this because you never know what whose company is looking to hire someone that has like your skill set and your adaptability. And does anybody have any questions?
Awesome. All right. Thank you. So someone is asking, are there any recent advancements in SQL or database technologies that you find particularly interesting or have experience with?
Honestly, not necessarily. The way my job is trained me to work in SQL is kind of fossilized, so I'll actually be going back and getting some certifications in the SQL database language itself. Because I didn't have a lot of experience like initially going into it. So as I'm continuing to learn more about the system and the language, it's made me realize that my job is doing things very anciently, and that I have a lot to be able to bring to the table. Because a lot of people at my job are they've been there 20 plus years. So they're used to doing things one way, but I'm coming in with fresh perspective and fresh eyes to be able to provide different like ideas and advancements to the team. And so yeah, to answer that, I can't really answer that for you, but I will learn it very soon. So
That's awesome. What is something that, like you just mentioned, what's something that you're comfortable sharing with us that you were able to change perspectives on at your company?
yeah, for sure. It's like it could be like the smallest thing. Like I can remember in SQL, it allows you when you're entering like data, like dates and times, you're allowed to, where our system works is you put in the date and then you put in, a lot of people weren't realizing that the simple, because like, my job's, that you can just put 10 a.m. instead of putting like, because it's military time, so the way that it does it is like, what one is where, yeah. So it does it military time. So simply just putting 10 a.m. instead of 10:00, or just like having to think, okay, what time is 6 o'clock in military time, and then just being able to put 6 p.m. and just like simple things and simple little ideas and little features that they weren't aware of has like significantly made the job quicker. Like I feel like I build a lot of my sites a lot quicker than the people that have been there for years on end because I am coming with fresh perspective and doing things a different way at times.
Awesome. I had a question for you because
Yeah.
not everyone's there's a 99 students and teachers in here, and I am positive that not all of them know what Catapult is. And since you are a Catapult alumni, would you mind telling them what it is? Since there are
Yeah.
applications open right now, and I will put that link in the chat.
Yes. So I was a team next to Catapult, and basically that was like a summer internship program. It was a paid internship program, a lot. And we basically went and got to see different like big technology, like big tech companies in Indianapolis. We got to sit down and talk to people in these roles like web development, UX design, computer science, and it just opened so many doors and realms of possibilities that people that I never thought I could speak to. Like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Scott Dorsey, but I was able to meet Scott Dorsey, have a conversation with him, and like talking about my career and what I was wanting to do, and even like at some point helped me try to find a job within the market. Like it just opened so many doors for me that I would not have had access to otherwise if it wasn't for the next Catapult program. So if you're interested in it, I definitely highly recommend applying for it.
Awesome. And for anyone who is interested, I just put in like a very brief a brief description of it. And then I am also putting in the link to our Next Text webpage about it, and you can apply. We just expanded, so we're in Muncie this summer now. But we are Marion County, Uplands, Bloomington area, Evansville, and now Muncie. So that's where we've expanded. So that's where you can apply. And then one of our things is that we make sure, just so you all know, like in case you're concerned about it, to alleviate stresses of the need to get summer jobs, we actually give you a stipend to attend, and we help reduce all cost barriers for you attending. So it's really, really cool. So that's that. And then someone like kind of tangentially related, I know Catapult was in high school, but did you ever do any internships?
Yeah. So I did an internship for this company called Castillo Company, and it was a woodworking company. It was they were like a woodworking startup, and they needed. That's kind of like where I got my first like taste of web development, I suppose. And just like I built like a site from scratch for them, so HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and kind of built that for them as a newer company. So yeah, that was kind of internship.
Cool. And then someone says, how well would pivoting work if looking for jobs internationally, especially if your degrees don't apply there? Any thoughts on that?
Oh, I'm probably not the best person to answer, but I will say, oh, that's a really good question. You could so based on if you're like traveling, if you're going internationally, like you're from the U.S. going internationally, I would definitely recommend looking into companies that may allow you to like work remote, and still be able to have those credentials validated in the country you're currently working in. Or if you're from another country and you're looking to pivot, I guess we'll more so look into like what does your country like value? Because like a lot of people I know like that do CS, computer science, web development, they have like certifications and things that you can get online, that makes it relatively available like for people to like kind of switch career paths. So just like the access to the education, so looking into the access to education and ways that like if it's like experience you need for the role, or if they're directly recommending like you have a degree for it. So it's like a lot of things that could go into that and pivoting. But I would definitely say the top thing would be just like seeing what your company, if the companies in your country allow you to have certifications instead of holding a degree, so you're able to obtain that a little bit quicker and pivot to a different career.
Yeah. And I think, speaking from experience, I think your interest and excitement and passion for an industry or a company really helps,
Yeah.
just as much as having that background and
Yeah.
an understanding of the job. Like sometimes you might end up starting at like a lower level position because you just don't have that skill set. But if you are interested, excited, and passionate about it, a company would rather have someone that's excited
Yeah.
than someone who is begrudgingly working there just because
Yeah.
their job fits.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then kind of tangentially related to that, someone is asking, how did you know what you wanted to do? And then I'm going to add on a second part to that. How did you know what you wanted to pivot to, or like, how did you realize what you started in wasn't what you wanted, and that it was like definitely needing to switch?
Yeah. So my pivot's kind of interesting because my main like it wasn't like intentional. I feel like it was more so like I started to realize like the reality of my situation in the job market that I was going into, and realizing that I'm a young adult, I need a job. So what do my current skill sets and skill sets that I'm able to obtain, what will open some doors for me so that if I do decide to pivot back into UX when the market is better for entry level position people, I have that ability to. So it was more so like I had to like realize that like, and I'm gonna be honest, like I couldn't pay my bills without a job, and so it my skill sets that I have attained and like wanting to switch careers opened a different door for me that made me even realize that like even outside of UX, what could I do? Like, so it wasn't an intentional pivot. It just kind of ended up working out. It has made me realize my love for other areas of technology. Yeah, to answer that.
No, that's great. I like it.
Yeah.
So again, like all these, like, I think you're triggering some questions based on what you're saying. They're all like interrelated. Someone is asking, should you shoot for a more general degree just in case you do want to pivot? For example, should I look at specific disciplines of engineering or should I go for a general one?
that's an amazing, amazing question. And thinking about like my educational background, that's like how hungry are you for it? Like you could go really specialized and you could get down to that specialty. Because my degree is pretty niche. Like it's not like a computer science, so it encompasses everything in computer science. No, it's like UX design. That's what you're supposed to be doing is UX design. So, but I wouldn't say it closed doors for me, like having that specialization. Like I definitely feel like you could special like if because I love UX. Regardless if I work in the job currently, I still love the field. And so if you have a specialization that you just love and would feel no gripe about like completing and having, I would say go for the specialization. But if you know you're like, I'm not 100% sure, like if I want to work in healthcare, if I want to work in the oil industry, I would say go more generalized so that there is like that right off the bat opportunity to grow and expand. But that's like more of a what do you want? Like how in depth do you want to go?
Cool. Okay. We have two more specifically about your actual job right now. So one person is asking, sorry, it went away. I don't know where it went. They're asking, do you have to work a certain amount of hours? So maybe talking about like what your like work-life balance looks like. Do you work remotely or in the office? And then the second part of that is someone asked what the hardest part of your job is.
Yeah. So to answer the first part, I am remote and I have a lot of job flexibility. With my job, I really don't speak to people. I kind of it's like heads down, you do the work, you clock out for the day. So I typically I work 8 hours a day, so it's like 40 hours a week. Typical nine to five, 9 hours, 8 to 4. But I have a lot of job flexibility to be able to change those hours if I need to, or if I have anything going on in my personal life. They're very like they work with you and they're understanding. And my job doesn't have to get done within a certain amount of time. Like I don't have to like reach people before 5 o'clock, so it's like pretty flexible with what I do. And then the hardest part of my job is sometimes working with the people. Our sales rep are very very special in Unity. We have a lot of change that come in, especially like during busy season. So this is busy season, graduation's coming up. So we're building a lot of sites quick and fast and we're trying to push them out. And a lot of reps will come back and have us make 3 or 4 changes in the same week. Like actually yesterday I changed a rep asked for a green skull. I had to go into our database, change it to a green skull, and just kind of edit all that information, upload new images. And then he came back like an hour later and was like, well, actually you want a blue skull? So it's not like just like a simple like, oh, let me just change the picture to a blue stone. Like, no, we have to get all the way back in the system, change everything, contact our CG plant to make sure the CG plant doesn't export green stones instead of blue stones. That's a lot. But that's probably the hardest part of our job is just like getting it finished and finalized and like working with the sales reps so that I can actually get it done so that I have to constantly make changes. That's the first part.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So again, we're triggering questions based on what you're saying. So people are asking, do you generally like the people that you work with? And this is recorded. So just be careful. And then also, do you have a choice of who you get to work with? Like, do you get to pick teams or, how's that work?
So I love the people I work with. You gotta keep in mind, Herb Jones is like they're not a smaller company. They do a lot. But like all the people that work there have been there for like 20 plus years. Like just nobody quits the job. They just either retire, they just retire. Okay, if you work there, you stay there for the rest of your life. It's what it's like. So the people that I work with are so sweet and genuine and always willing to help. Love the people that I work with. So it's a set team. There's only like 4 or 5 of us, maybe 6. We're trying to find someone to hire here soon. But so I work on a really small team. But you also got to keep in mind, my job, I hardly talk to them. I might talk, we have a group meeting once a week, 30 minutes. But that's all the time I really spend talking to them. And then we do like company dinners and stuff together. But so it's like, I don't really talk to people a lot. So it's like, I'm not really, like, we're on a team, yes, because we're all working towards the same goal. We're all pushing out sites. But it's not like we're all contacting them regularly.
Cool. I like it. I think I know the answer based on how you've been talking, but do you like what you do in the long term? Are you enjoying
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I enjoy it a lot. Like it's far left field than UX design. It's so far left field because like UX design, you're interacting with people constantly. You're talking to people. You're going out. You're doing interviews. You're watching people. You're figuring out what's going on in their head. And I'm just kind of here like, okay, so this is blue now. This is great. So, but it's completely different. But I do love it. It definitely. I never would have considered this unless I was pushed to consider this. I will say, like, and it's been fun. I enjoy it. I really, really, really do enjoy my job. It's weird. But
That's awesome. It's funny you think that they're so not related because I feel like UX is like integral in web design, right?
yeah,
Like there's like a component to the UX as web design because it's the whole
yeah,
like you don't want to click 10 times, like
yeah,
two clicks perfectly great,
yeah,
So there's
yeah.
a component.
I, yeah, it's definitely a part of it. I think mine is more so I was so used to doing all the design stuff and like the like making things look nice and picking the size of the button. But now I'm like on the back end side of it all. Like I'm just entering the data and someone else is uploading image, someone else is in Photoshop. So yeah. So they're connected. You can't do one without the other. But
Right.
now I'm
But
like
it's
on the
like
opposite side.
the opposite spectrum end of the spectrum of the
Yeah.
same role. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so someone is asking if there's some good resume building things that they can do during college for the first initial job in order to prevent that pivot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I think definitely prioritizing like networking. I know a lot of people that I know that graduated at the same time with me had a lot of connections within the UX space. So like they had family in it, or they might have had like other friends that worked at a company just like Google, like Apple, like or like different tech brands. So like just networking and making friends with people that like you eventually know you'll want to work for their company or you'll want to work in the same job area. Like it is totally okay to reach out to somebody on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I see that you're in the job position that I currently want to do. Could you take time to just sit down and chat with me and tell me kind of about what your day to day looks like? Right. So just completely, and that's one thing I could have done better is like reached out to more people and like pushed a little bit harder in the direction of my degree. But for me, I was okay with pivoting outside of it. So if you're not okay and you know you don't want to pivot outside your degree, then I would definitely just recommend connecting and talking to people and internships and everything that you can do in order to stay within that sector of your degree. Yeah, that would be my advice.
No, I love it. Someone is actually asking what specific degree you have.
Oh, I have a degree, a bachelor's of science in UX, my specialization.
All right, so it was UX design specific.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Someone's asking if there's ever situations where you're working by yourself.
Oh, all of the time. Yes, I pretty much work by myself all all the time because it's like there's not like multiple people working on the site at a time. We're like it's not like in class when you might build like a project, like you guys might all build a site together and you work together as a team. No, like I am doing it all on my own now. Okay, I am taking the hour. It takes me hours sometimes to build sites. So it's like you're all on your own. You're working by yourself and you're pushing them out. So we're just a team. Like there's other people with the same positions as me on the same team, but it's not like we're constantly working as well.
Awesome. And then somewhat related to that, are there certain roles for your specific job or within your team? And what is the lane that you stay in for your role on your team?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, so they're asking about like the different roles within your team, like what different people do. So like, are you all doing the same thing, or do you all have like individual roles and lanes that you stay in on the same project?
Oh, I get what you're saying. No, we're all doing different things. So someone might be building like Purdue University's sites and all of the sites for all the Purdue University campuses, and then someone will build like IU sites. But we're all doing separate things at different times. Like there's thousands of colleges in the United States of America. So we're all individually working on a different college in the United States at once.
Oh, okay. Lovely. Does your job provide a clear path to move up the ladder? And what does like the next step in your career path look like?
Yeah, that's fair. Honestly, at the position that I'm currently in, it's not. It'd be like no. I'm gonna say no, and that's only because a lot of people that are in my position kind of don't move around. Like they might become like manager, but like my manager's like a younger manager, so she's only been like manager for a couple of years so far. But she doesn't really envision herself leaving the company, so she would have to leave for them to be like another position for the ladder. But this is like a stepping stone for my career. I don't know. I can't really say for sure if I will be staying here for the rest of my career, because I know there are like more advancements in my career that I inevitably want to make. And this is kind of like I'm kind of like a point in my life where it's like I'm considering going back to my master's, like know what I want to do in that area, and then, so it's like I don't, yeah, no, not necessarily, but it's opening my eyes to like different areas that I can go into.
Yeah, I mean, you're already a senior web developer. You're pretty high up in like
Yeah,
that experience.
yeah, that was really.
Oh no. Dejanay, we can't hear you anymore. Oh no, we can't hear Dejanay anymore. So I'm reading a lot of your questions. I'm answering some of them. Oh, Dejanay, can you hear us now? Yep.
Yes. Cool.
All right.
We're reconnected. Okay. Sorry.
Cool. Okay. Someone's asking, because you just mentioned maybe getting a master's. What might you be considering getting your master's in?
So, and this is also a little left field, guys. I'm considering getting my master in cybersecurity, because that I've always been really interested in like digital forensics, and so it's like having pivoted now, I don't have that fear of like kind of like maybe considering something else. So it's like I'm taking some certifications in it at the moment to kind of get a feel for what I may want to do, but I don't have a definitive answer for that. I just know it'll probably be somewhere in a technological realm. But
yeah. All right. So I'm just voicing over that I'm going to just answer and or delete questions if you're asking if she knew what she wanted to do in high school, because the entire session is about how she got a degree in something that she didn't end up doing her job in. So she did not know what she wanted to do in high school and she pivoted. But someone is asking if you think there's like good classes they should be taking in high school to like test things out before getting to college to help them like really hone in and figure out what type of job they might want.
Oh yeah, that's fair. My school, and I don't know a lot about how high school works and like how many pathways they have. But like find an area that you're interested in. Like I know my high school offered like hospitality and like dental hygiene, and then there was like cybersecurity. So like finding a pathway and then finding niches within the pathway. I don't know how big that is now in like high schools, but that's like kind of like finding a pathway and then learning more about the niches within it. I don't know if there's like too many classes for that. It could honestly depend on your school.
Okay. This is an interesting question. Does a small business require less needs to support than a large business or like a large corporation?
Yeah, like you said, needs to support.
Yeah.
They would be significantly different. Like I have a friend that like works in UX and is like working for like a tech startup. So like their needs and demands aren't as big per se, like it's like what they're demanding from him that they are like Herb Jones may demand from me in a way. If that makes sense. Like they're probably working on like one system at a time, as in reverse I'm working on like 100 systems at a time. So the needs are vastly different from like a tech startup in like a major corporation. You also got to consider like if it's like Apple or like Yahoo or something, they'll have like teams and then they'll have smaller teams within those teams. So you might not be doing as much, but it honestly depends on like how in depth those teams actually are and like what those roles and titles are within those teams.
Cool. Someone's asking because you had mentioned that when you graduated, there wasn't a high demand for UX designers. Does that demand fluctuate? Do you know?
No, it wasn't that there was a there's always a demand for UX designers. It was that there was a lot of tech layoffs the years prior, like during COVID. So there were a lot of like senior level UX designers competing with entry level UX designers for the same position, if that makes sense. So it's like if you didn't know anybody in UX, you weren't really getting a job in UX at the time. It was honestly the reality of it. So it wasn't that there wasn't a need for it. It was just we were competing as entry level, straight out of college, like in the workforce versus like somebody that may have like 10 plus years experience.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Did I already ask you what the most interesting part of your job is?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm getting some duplicates and I'm having a hard time going back through the old ones. What were some of the classes you took in high school that might have helped you when you pivoted? I know you talked about Catapult. Did you take any classes in high school that were tangentially like helped you realize you might like doing this?
Yeah, so I took CS, computer science 1, like computer science 2, and then the third class for like the pathways, they called it the pathways, was like cybersecurity. So I did like the cybersecurity track, which was like the last class. So I took both levels of CS. And then I remember like during my CS classes, me and one other student built a site for one of my teachers, like business friends. So that was like my first like actual like, okay, I'm building a site from scratch, I'm developing it, and kind of getting an idea of like the different coding systems. But yeah, CS1, CS2, and then the cybersecurity track.
So it's not just like totally random that you're interested in maybe a master's in cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's not completely random. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a opinion question. Is it true that only main subjects supporting our dream future jobs are math, all topics, and science?
Oh, I don't know.
I would say no.
I don't. I'd say no.
I mean, here's the thing. If you want to be an author,
yeah,
English is probably your best bet, but it's really hard to get published and like become like a name, like a household name author, right?
Yeah.
So, Dejanay and I aren't sitting here and we're not like, you know, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Tim Cook. Like we're not household names either, and we both love what we do. So I don't think so. I would say I've fully enjoyed your session because I am constantly surprised that I get a paycheck to do what I do. Like I love what I do so much. And I think if you students take anything away from this, is just like the excitement and interest that Dejanay has in her job, and that she finds it fun and interesting, and not to settle in your job. That if you're like, this isn't the thing I want to do, you can pivot, and people pivot all the time. Like I have plans, so I'm fully happy in my job, but when I retire, I actually want to go back and become a ultrasound technician because I think but it's like totally not related to anything that I do
at all.
Education, but I just find it fascinating and I would love to do that. So yeah.
And life is just too short. It's too short not to just try things.
Yeah, and be happy. Happy. Allow yourself to be happy, children.
Yes.
Okay, so this one is an interesting question. How important is the choice of college in your future job?
Oh, I'm gonna be honest. So a lot of my older generation people would say that it's extremely important and that the name of the school really matters. But I don't think I've had anybody like out of all the interviews I've had, I don't think anybody's been like. I've had people that are like, "Oh, you went to Purdue? I went to Purdue." But other than that, it's not like my college gets brought up often. More people are more so like what you concerned about what you majored in and where you went to school for it. So that's like very subjective.
Mm-hmm. I would absolutely agree with that. I would say I went to a well-known college. I went to Boston College, and nobody ever asks me where I went to school because
Yeah.
I live in the Midwest, so nobody even cares that I went to school
Yeah.
in Boston College. But my husband, he went to Eastern Kentucky University, which is like the second best aviation program in the country next to Emory-Riddle. And he specifically went there because he lived in Kentucky, and it was a state school for him, and so he
Yeah.
got state. And the amount that his college costs compared to mine is dramatically different. And if I had to do it again, I would have picked a much smaller school for much cheaper and gotten a computer science and math degree and just still been doing what I'm doing right now and spent way less money on it. So I would agree. I think it's fun to go to specific schools and people like it. And sometimes your parents went there and you want to follow in your parents' footsteps. And sometimes your friends are going somewhere, or, most of the kids from your graduating class go to one school.
Yeah.
I don't think in terms of your jobs, once you've got that first job, nobody really cares.
Cares.
All right. Sorry. Now someone has asked if I have any information for an aviation career. Sorry, I do.
Go ahead.
No. No, I think, again, it's really like, if I had to search for colleges again, I would look at what are the top 10 colleges in computer science, because I knew I wanted to go into computer science. And that's what my husband did. He said, where can I go for aviation, specifically aviation safety? And that's what he did. He looked at like the top 4 programs, and one of them happened to be in the state he lived in. So that's where he went. Like, he didn't think anything beyond that, right? And then specifically for aviation, if you're interested, almost every airline and every airport have internship opportunities, because they are constantly looking for people to join that field. So that's what I would tell you is, one, just figure out what specific thing in aviation you want to look into. Like if it's a pilot program, there's pilot programs all over the country. If it's something specific, like my husband wanted to go into safety, there's different programs within that. And then there's internships anywhere near airplanes. Even if it's just a small regional airport, there's opportunities there too. Oh yeah, someone's asking, would specific jobs want you to go to a specific college? And I don't
think so.
Someone says, what are your best accomplishments? But I'm going to rephrase that and say, what is the accomplishment that you're most proud of?
I am most proud of graduating college in 3 years.
That is a very good accomplishment. I am proud of you. I wish I had done that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Sorry, more coming in. All right. I think we're actually slowing down. All right. So I am going to just say thank you so much, Dejanae. I had a blast listening to you. Your passion and excitement for what you do is so tantamount to everything that you were saying, and you can like hear it in your voice and see it in your smile. So just thank you so much. I like truly enjoyed listening to you. I loved the Q&A session. So thank you so much